Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Recently I had a video on entry-level exceptional horology. This is the kind of horology you have where you have especially good elements that add something mechanical to the constant force of a watch. A repertoire égalité, a tourbillon, these are all examples of that. There are other kinds too, and what I want to talk about today is how to find exceptional horology in standard watches. Now, the one I'm going to talk about today is my my Chaumet Arty Dandy Open Face. And what I did is that I took a picture of my Dandy Arty and I put it next to my H. Moser Henry double hairspring. And the Henry double hairspring is a great example of exceptional horology. And generally, I think that Moser as a whole belongs in that same category. Now, what this has to do with is with gearing. And what I did, I took a picture of them both next to one another. And one of the things that I wanted to illustrate about the Chaumet is how far this little Ferris wheel that's on it is from the center. And in order to do that, you need certain kinds of gearing to ensure a smooth transition. Now, the teeth on this Chaumet are Agenais teeth. And what these are, they're teeth with springs in them, basically. And so when one of the teeth goes into a slot of another one, if it just be a typical slot, you can have some kind of slippage. And what the Agenais gear slot does is that it has a little spring. And so you have no slippage at all. And as a result, you can have greater distance between your center gear and where you're going to have your eccentric, either a regulator watch with hands all over the place, or in this case, there's sort of like a Ferris wheel. Now the Moser, there's something called Moser teeth, and these are epicycloidal gears. There's a little picture of them there. And these are very good. They have a special shape to try to reduce slippage, but even they can have some slippage. Now, if you don't have a great deal of distance between your center of your gear train and your subdials or your eccentric dials, sometimes they're part of the same thing. For example, here up in the upper left-hand corner, the gold ones and then the silver escapement, these are all part of the main gear train. Number 3 there is where the second gear is, or the gear for the second hand, and you can see in the middle there's a staff for the second hand, so it's part of the general gear train. Now, on the other hand, if you have a displaced second hand, or a Ferris wheel in my case, you can see you have to go through a number of other gears. And so you have an expanded gear train. And this is what Jean-Marc Wiederreck, who invented the Agenais gear set, he says, when you have hands that are no longer in the center, they have the unfortunate tendency of hesitating because you have small interferences within the gear train. The small interferences can have just a little slippage. Now remember, if you take a look at the escapement, you see the pallet fork going bap, 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 like that, which means every one of those clicks moves a wheel one. And so when you have, this is going on depending on the frequency, you have between 18,000, which would be very low frequency, and now all the way up to 5 frequency. So you got a lot of stuff going on. So the importance of minimizing the slippage in your gears is very important. And so the agonized gear, they prevent the slippage, and they provide an unhesitant transmission to the eccentric hands. The hands, the example there I got it is the display second hand. Now, in this particular watch, the Chaumet Dandy Arty Open Face, you got to deal with that name. You got to deal with some of the things in the watch too. But there you have these two agonized gears. And you can see over on the far right there, I showed the distance between the center of both the Moser and the Chaumet. And the one on the distance on the Chaumet is about 25% further away from the center. And so let's see how this whole thing works. Let's take a look at this little video we have of the movement. Now here you can see this they got a big Ferris wheel for instead of second hands, they put a Ferris wheel there. And you can sort of see in the middle, it's harder to see in this particular picture, but you can see the great big one. Now I pulled it in a little closer, and you can see you have a sort of looks like a pinion gear in the middle, and it's taking the center gear goes to the first agonized gear, which then turns that little pinion gear, which in turn turns the second agonized gear, which in turn turns the big wheel. Anyway, that was you can, and it's got an ETA movement in it, and of course Chaumet they're a very good jeweler. I don't think they're quite well known in the watchmaking business, but one of the things you can find with some of these top brands of jewelers, such as Chaumet, which they used to be the jeweler for emperors, and find they will, instead of just throwing anything in there, sometimes they'll put in some really good stuff. And this time they put in the Agoness. Okay, let me know what you think, and start looking around, see what you can find. And it's an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.